Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello, welcome back to Soul Archaeology. And welcome to 2025. It's absolutely wild that we're here. I feel like time is just speeding up, expanding and contracting in wild ways lately. Sometimes it feels like it's just crawling, and then other times I feel like we've just get catapulted into new timelines. It's absolutely wild. Today, I'm going to be talking about the lunar nodes shifting into new signs, which I love discussing. I'm super excited about this transit, and I really think it's going to shape and form the rest of 2025 and kind of set the stage for this next 20-month chapter that we're entering into this year. I will also be breaking down the rest of the major themes of 2025. I have a 2025 forecast workshop that's available on my website. I will link it in the show notes. I decided to do this last minute because it just felt like the material was so vast and nutrient dense. I really wanted to create more of a container for it. I don't love doing super long podcast episodes because I feel like they are hard to digest sometimes, and presenting this material in a workshop format really allows us to get into the underbelly of the different transits, and it really allows us to create more space to expand some of the concepts and some of the energetic imprints of this year. So I definitely encourage you to drop into that workshop if you'd like to go deeper into some of these themes to really look at how this could aspect you personally. It's a 2-hour-long workshop, and I priced it low just to make sure it was accessible for a lot of people because it's definitely important. This is such an insanely transformative year. In many ways, it feels that we have been preparing for this year, 2026 and 2027, since really 2017, but moving into 2020 when we had the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January, and then the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction at the 0 point of Aquarius in December of 2020. Since then, we have been dissolving and breaking down structures, internal and externally, looking at the inner workings of our own individual lives and our collective systems, deepening into our toolbox to form new tools and resources to navigate the chaos of these times, but also activating the tools and resources we brought into this lifetime. That's a lot of the work that I do with clients, is looking at how you innately interact with energy, how you naturally read energy, what you came into this life with as far as the medicine that you carry, what you already know deep within your bones, activating that wisdom so you can move from a space of authenticity. Because we all have very unique ways of reading energy, of communicating energy, channeling. And I think over the last 5 years, we've all been understanding a little bit more intimately how the energetic world works, how energy works, how we can read and sense the subtle energies at play in the world and within our own lives. Understanding the energies that really project and shape and form our reality that we weren't aware of before. But in many ways, that Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020 activated this fall. It's almost like the Tower card in tarot, where things just begin to crumble. We start to witness and see the density, the darkness, the shadow, the inner workings of our world flipped inside out. And we begin to notice things that we simply couldn't see before. 2025 is in many ways an extension of the energy of 2020. It's a year of endings and beginnings. It's where we're still clearing out what has been to make space for what's to be, but we finally get to see glimpses into what is to come, what the next timeline looks like. We begin to have space and opportunity to embody the energy of that new timeline. Astrologers have been looking at 2025 for a long time because we have all of the outer planets changing signs together between 2025 and 2026. And not only that, but they're all moving into air and fire. So this year is deeply significant. It holds a lot of promise of transformation, change, upheaval. We finally get what we've been asking for. We finally get to see the fruits of our labor. I know so many of us have been doing very, very deep work over the last 5 years, especially, but even longer than that. And I have a feeling that this year is where things really begin to take shape and form. But we're still in the energy of the old. We still have to do the completion work. We still have to witness and integrate the endings. We have to let go. We have to surrender more, release what we're gripping to, what we're attached to. It's a 9-year in numerology. And 9 is unlimited potential. It's a year of transitions. We're reaching a culmination point, a point of completion. It's where endings meet beginnings. In many ways, this year is also tied to Pisces and Neptune in the 12th house. So it's a year of endings, of completion. But Pisces is interesting because it's connected to the 12th house. It's connected to endings. It's connected to completion, to oneness. It's the end of the zodiac, but it's also the womb. So it's where the new seeds are planted. And we know that the dark void space is where endings do meet beginnings. There's this middle space, this significant point where what's dying becomes reborn. And that's so much of what this year is. It's where we refine, where we master, where we fully and completely decide to let go, to release, to trust, to deepen into faith. It's a masterful number. It's a deeply spiritual number. 2025 really emerges as a year of profound completion, transition. And it's really marked by this dance of endings, meeting new beginnings, like I said. It carries the energy of spiritual refinement and mastery, inviting us to transform limitation into limitless potential. But this year really begins slowly. Of course, it's a Gregorian year, it's a calendar year, so it's not aligned with the natural cycles and rhythms of nature. In astrology, the new year begins with Aries, so it really doesn't begin until spring, which is actually very aligned with the energy of 2025. It doesn't start to really emerge and begin to take shape and form to fruit until the springtime. The beginning of this year is marked by retrograde energy. We have Mars retrograding until February 23rd. It's in its shadow until May 2nd. And then we have Venus retrograding from March 1st to April 12th. We also have a Mercury retrograde in March as well. So we're in this underworld, this deep wintering space in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a time for us to collect information, data, to travel deep into the dark soil to find our nourishment, our resources, the minerals we need to move forward, to begin again. It's a time of rest, of recollection, remembering, where we let the parts of us needing to decay, soften, dissolve, compost into the soil so that we can utilize that knowing, that understanding, that wisdom, the medicine to begin anew, to form new patterns, new ways of being, new beliefs in the spring. Mars retrograde bringing us into our relationship with our power, our will, our drive, our passions, our anger. Venus retrograde bringing us into our relational framework, reviewing and refining our relationships. Who is in our lives, taking inventory. In many ways, the first few months of 2025 are a precious time to harness the wisdom we receive when we get quiet, when we pay attention, to refine our practices, our rituals, routines, things that really root, anchor, nourish, and ground us. By late March, early spring, we really start to emerge. The energy starts to pick up. It accelerates. We have our first eclipses. We have 2 total lunar eclipses this year. One in March and one in September. And these initiate us into this portal of time that is marked by rapid, fast change and evolution. The months of March, April, May, June, July are extremely significant. They hold the potential and power for transformation that we've been waiting for, sensing for many years. These eclipses really launch us into the new timeline. I'll talk more about that in a moment, but I'd really like to focus on the lunar nodes first, because I think that these really kind of set the tone for our evolutionary focus and direction over the next 18 months. On January 11th, 2025, this week, we have the lunar nodes shifting from Aries and Libra to Pisces and Virgo. The lunar nodes really shape our evolutionary focus. They are mathematical points where the moon's orbit intersects with the Earth's orbit around the sun. These powerful points really tell us our soul's journey, our story. Our natal north and south node tell us our own personal soul story, our journey. They tell us what our purpose is in this lifetime, our karma and dharma, the patterns and behaviors that are comfortable but might limit our growth, and our deepest opportunities for growth, potential, and evolution in this lifetime. We each have our own natal north and south node, but we also have the transiting north and south node where they are in the sky. And while the north and south node have been in Aries, they've been focused on self and relationships. Our relationship to self, our relationship to others. It's been asking for us to deepen into our connection with self, harnessing our potential, grabbing the reins of our lives, deepening into purpose, into alignment with our will, our drive, our power. It's the energy of the conscious warrior, the warrior who is not afraid to take action on what aligns with their heart. Releasing the shadow patterns of the Libra South Node, codependency, self-abandonment, people-pleasing, indecision. We'll be shifting from this focus of the North Node in Aries on self-development, the body, will, power, identity, the self, to this focus on collective consciousness, the unseen, the mysteries, healing, spirit, source, surrender, faith, trust. This is a major up-leveling point when the North Node shifts from Aries to Pisces. It moves backwards. So we're entering this space of the first house, Aries, this energy of identity and ego, to the soul, the higher heart, oneness, higher consciousness, work that will need to be done to really step into the North Node in Pisces over the next 18 months. When the nodes shift, what we do is focus on embracing the highest vibration of the North Node, in this case, the North Node in Pisces, and releasing the shadow of the South Node, in this case, the South Node in Virgo. This is very deep soul work, really connecting us to a higher aspect of our soul, releasing the confines and rigidity of the ego, and deepening into higher consciousness, faith, oneness, surrender, trust, creativity, expansion. The last time we were aligned with this axis was 2006, 2007. So thinking back to that time, what were you navigating? What were you experiencing? The axis of Pisces and Virgo is the axis of the healer. Virgo is physical healing. It's self-care, routines, things on the physical plane we can do to care for our physical bodies, our physical healing. Pisces is energy. It's spiritual healing. It's healing beyond the physical. Pisces is also connected to creativity and art. And the goal of this time is to embrace the highest vibration of Pisces, the artist, the healer, surrendering and deepening into trust, embracing spiritual development, embracing what's beyond the scene, embracing the mystery. And I think in many ways, this North Node in Pisces coming through during this time is helping us develop a deeper connection to Source. Letting the South Node in Virgo drive our self-care of the physical, tending to what we need to on the physical plane in order to support our spiritual growth and development, our evolutionary path, while we embrace the unknown, what's not seen, what's beyond the veil. We will need a deepened sense of faith, trust as we navigate this year. We're also going to be working through releasing dissociation, escapism, perfectionism, gripping and controlling to timelines, expectations, relationships. This axis will ask for us to fully release control, to soften, to float with the current of consciousness, to release our need to know in order to feel safe, to befriend change, to befriend the unknown. This is a time of mastery, of up-leveling, of deepening into your spiritual practices. I think we will see many people awaken during this 18-month period, looking for guidance, a connection to a higher power, a universal force. I think we'll see a resurgence of people seeking out religion or spiritual structures, spiritual teachings. And for those of you that are practitioners, this is the time where you really begin to master your work, to fully embody what you teach, what you practice, so that you can feel more resourced, more fortified, becoming a pillar and a beacon of light, and sharing that to activate the light in others, to help others see their power reflected. These are my personal North and South nodes, so I'm entering my nodal return, which I'm very, very excited about. And if you were born with your North and South node in Pisces and Virgo, you are entering your nodal return as well. And I really believe that this North Node in Pisces is going to be our light. The energy of late spring, summer is intense. It's very chaotic. It holds a lot of power for transformation, for change. I think it's going to be extremely helpful for those of us that are really looking for that energy to begin new projects, the clarity we've kind of been waiting for and looking for over the last few years. But if you don't have practices, it can feel really destabilizing. So utilizing this North Node in Pisces to form and shape the practices, the routines, the devotional practices that you have or are wanting to form. January, February, early March are really, really powerful months. They might feel slow, a little bit more introspective. This is the time where we pause, observe, notice what we want to take into this year, what we want to leave behind, letting the alchemy truly unfold, selecting the practices, the rituals, the routines that we know will really fortify us as we navigate this next chapter. Let the North Node in Pisces guide you. Sit with her. Get a sense and feel for her medicine, what she has to share. She might have a new practice that she wants you to incorporate. She might have an opportunity for softening, for surrendering. Like I said, this nodal axis is a major theme over the next 18 months. And it's our anchor. It's what we can focus on, what we can deepen into when we think about our practices over the next 2 years. As we shift into March, April, May, we have the outer planets all moving into new signs. Pluto, of course, is in Aquarius, so that's set until 2043. Neptune will be leaving Pisces. It has a conjunction with the North Node on February 7th before it leaves Pisces. But on March 30th, it moves into Aries for a brief period of time until October. Then it retrogrades back and re-enters in January of 2026 until 2039. And this is significant. I talk a lot about this in the forecast workshop, so I encourage you to drop into that workshop. But we're moving from water to fire, crossing from Pisces to Aries, the 12th sign to the first sign. We're starting a whole new 160-ish year cycle. The 0 point of Aries, 0 degrees Aries, is very significant. It's the point of creation. It's the first point of the zodiac. It's where new beginnings emerge. Something new is birthed from this space. With Neptune, the planet of dreams, intuition, illusion, moving into Aries. It's sobering. It's a spark of fire. The last time we had this placement was 1861. And that same year, the American Civil War began. This is a point of action, movement. It's an opportunity also for us personally to move out of victim consciousness, dissolving illusion, really taking action, taking the reins of our lives. But it also brings forward war, conflict, propaganda. So on a collective level, it's going to be chaotic this summer. It's important for us to resource from within, to find our center point. Saturn is also moving into Aries this year for just the summer until it retrogrades back in the fall and re-enters, re-emerges into Aries again early next year. And Saturn is in its fall in Aries. It doesn't love to be there. Saturn is rigid. It likes structure. It likes organization. Aries can be a little reckless. And Saturn in Aries can feel very sobering. It can also help us to take action. With it being in Pisces, it's been a little bit disjointed, ambiguous. This is the point where we get to become the masters of our destiny, fully owning our reality, taking the reins of our life. accepting full responsibility for where we are, what we're experiencing, what we're moving through, activating our sense of sovereignty. It's an initiation. And these two planets merge at the 0 point of Aries in July of this year. This is very significant. I'm looking at July as one of the most intense, explosive times of really this decade. There's also a lot of opportunity held within this space. That's why I'm saying the first few months of this year are really important periods of time to deepen into your practices, collect yourself, really examine what you desire, what you're calling in, the timeline you want to align with and click into, so that when this opportunity, this energy begins to manifest, you're ready. You have a toolbox, you have resources, you are prepared for what's to come. And really making it simple. What very simple tools and practices nourish, root, ground you? What makes you feel secure and safe internally? Because our center point, the space that we connect to self, to source, to the earth, is ever present. It's what we can count on. It's what allows us to weather the storms. Returning to that space over and over again is how we navigate these times of chaos and change and transformation with more ease. What practices bring you to that space? This year, we also have Uranus entering Gemini in July, on July 7th. This is going to take all of the fast-paced energy of the beginning of the summer and accelerate it. It's like pressing the fast forward button. Uranus in Gemini is fast. Gemini deals with Mercury, communication, travel, community, technology. Uranus is innovative. It's always looking to evolve, to change, to grow, to innovate, to change what's not working. Wherever Uranus lands, it's going to be shaking things up. And with it landing in Gemini for a brief period of time until it fully enters Gemini next year, until 2033, things are going to be shaken up. Technology, travel, communication. We're looking at rapid technological advancement, how we travel, advancements in communication, the internet, telepathy. This is also the US Uranus return as well in Gemini. It can surface a lot of conflict, propaganda, energy of war, of wildfire. When we think about Saturn and Neptune in Aries, so they're both in fire, and then we have Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini. All of these energies together create wildfire, rapid change, movement. This can be super helpful if you've been feeling very stuck over the last few years. Many people have. This is liberation energy, but it's also chaos. And as we know, some of the most beautiful, profound things have been birthed from chaotic times. It's important we know how to move through this space with groundedness. This summer is quite intense. It's quite fast. And then we have this beautiful softening as we move into more of a retrograde space in the fall. This trine between Jupiter, which is moving into Cancer in June, and then Neptune and Saturn that move back into Pisces. October through December, we have this beautiful trine aspect, which really softens the energy. Jupiter in Cancer is happy. It's exalted in Cancer. So it's really going to provide opportunities for deepening into our family dynamics, our relationships, creating more of a sense of home, softness, connection to our own internal landscape, emotional maturation, emotional intelligence. Jupiter in Cancer is something I'm very much looking forward to. It's going to provide opportunity for us to deepen into a connection to the divine, a connection to ourselves, a connection to the people in our lives, our loved ones, maybe even calling in new connections, a new sense of home. The summer is definitely defined by the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. It also exacts in April of 2026 as well. And this happens about every 36 years. Saturn and Neptune conjoin. But this happening at zero, the 0 point of Aries, is very significant. It's really a whole new chapter emerging. And I really believe that this year is when we turn the page. A new chapter is being birthed through the portal of this summer. The last Saturn-Neptune conjunction was in Capricorn. Many of us were born during that time. It was in 1989, and it was the fall of the Berlin Wall, essentially the collapse of the Soviet Union. So we're still collecting ourselves from that great Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020, and this is, in many ways, sort of a reverberation of that. Saturn is structure, institutions, order, systems, and Neptune is consciousness. This is really a reckoning period around our government, authorities, systems, people in leadership roles. It's going to help us dissolve illusion and bring more justice. This is a karmic reckoning as well, but it's important to note that Neptune moves really slowly. It's going to be in Aries until 2039. So the energy of this time is certainly intense. There's much change that will unfold this year, of course, but there's also so much opportunity for us to really root, ground, and sprout the seeds of what we've been planting over the last few years. This is an amazing, amazing opportunity to see our dreams and desires take shape and form finally. But we have to return back to those simple practices, routines, rituals, the forms of devotion that really help us feel resourced and fortified. 2025 really is a year of profound completion. It's a year of sacred transition and really, like I said, is about endings meeting new beginnings. The South Node in Virgo is going to ask for us to release control, release what we're gripping to trust more, to soften more, to surrender more. The North Node in Pisces will ask for us to deepen into our spiritual practices, our faith, what makes us feel connected to the universal force and source. This rare Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries really marks a powerful reset point, dissolving outdated structures while we really seed new visions for our future. The beginning of the year really moves slowly with both Mars and Venus retrograde and asking for us to review and refine our relationship with our power, ourself, others, connections. But by the summer, as the outer planets begin changing signs, we really experience an acceleration of the energy that offers glimpses into the next evolutionary chapter. This is in so many ways a year of reckoning, revelation, where our personal transformation ripples into the collective change that we're seeing. We're really going to be called to release our control in favor of sacred surrender, trust, faith, deepening, trusting the dissolution of familiar patterns as new possibilities emerge. Through this dance of completion and initiation, this back and forth, in and out, this year really guides us into transforming lead into gold, moving from the ego into soul-aligned action, the wisdom that we contain and hold through our many lifetimes, the places that we've been, and aligning with a higher path. I am personally very excited about this year. I know it's going to hold a lot of change, which can be scary. There's a lot of course, grieving in change. There's a lot of transformation that can feel sticky and gritty sometimes, but I know it's really what we've been waiting for. And I'm really excited. I think 2026 and 2027 are going to be profound and incredibly fast. So this year in many ways is this preparation for what's to come. We get to dip our toes into the water. It feels like a real gift. So I do encourage you to drop into the 2025 workshop that I created. You can find that in the show notes, linked in the show notes. It really goes deeper into all of these transits, the major themes, how we can work with them, and shed some light on how we can begin to lay strong, steady foundations for this incredibly transformative year. The card I pulled today was from the Starseed Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell, and I love this deck so much. This card in particular was just so aligned, and it's the Lifting the Veil card, and it says, question everything. Anything unaligned must go. Things aren't always as they seem. This era is one of uncovering mistruths so that we can remember ancient truths. Everything is in a state of recall and realignment. Anything that isn't in harmony with the planet will not survive. This goes for society and the world at large, as well as in our own lives. If you pull this card, you're being called to energetically scan your life for things that may no longer be a vibrational match for you, for who you are and how you've grown. To dismantle the systems and ways of being that once served you and others, but no longer do. Some starseeds are here to lift the veil between the seen and unseen worlds, to shine a light on things that are inauthentic or unaligned with the survival and well-being of Earth, to stand for and protect those who don't have a voice, to look deeper and question everything that previous generations did not. Some starseeds cannot tolerate things that aren't congruent. They're here to bring society and humanity back into harmony with the planet and the Creator at large. If we tolerate things in our life that aren't aligned and congruent with it, we add to the misalignment of the planet. You're being called to trust yourself, notice what's out of alignment, and then take the baby steps required to bring it back into harmony. This is no easy feat, but it's so worthwhile, both individually and for the planet. The inquiry is, what isn't congruent in your life? How are you being called to bring it back into harmony? I love this card so much because it really speaks to the energy that we're in currently with the retrogrades, taking inventory of and looking at what's in our life, what's in alignment and what is not in alignment. And this process of auditing and taking inventory of the different aspects of our lives will continue for the rest of this year. But it's really important to take the steps now to do this work, to notice what feels in flow and what does not, to invite in more peace, more ease, knowing that the chaos will ensue, but we can choose who's in our life. We can choose what we call in, what we invite in. We get to choose how we structure our days. There are many things that we can control within this space and time. And really, our reality is shaped and formed by the choices we make. This is the portal of maturation that we're in, is realizing this and taking the reins and choosing the things, the opportunities, the relationships that are at the frequency you desire to exist. Thank you, as always, for being here, for your support, for your messages, for sharing with friends, family, on social media. It truly means the world. I'm so excited for what this next year has to offer. I think that it is filled with opportunity and light and abundance and expansion if we know where to look and we know how to work with it. So I'm excited to continue this journey with you, and I'll be there every step of the way. As always, have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I will see you soon.